There's a lot to get into in this latest update with the Diddy case. Truly just a lot to talk about, man. Really one for the legal books, a first of its kind in a sense, real talk, man. And that's exactly what Diddy's defense team is saying. As we know, he's been locked up, man. Wild timeline, the way it all went down from lawsuits upon lawsuits to the feds getting involved in raiding and then in being charged. And here we are now. He pushed forth with the trial in a speedy fashion, even though a lot of the legal analysts that are quote unquote the pros, expert analysts were saying Diddy can beat this thing. He's better off delaying it a year or two. Diddy was like, nah, man, slow feet don't eat. Let's get on with this thing. I want to exercise my right to a speedy trial, and he did just that. And we know the way it all went, right? A jury of 8 men and 4 women found him guilty on the lesser counts, the racketeering, RICO, running a criminal organization, ex-trafficking, just more or less metaphorically speaking, being a crime boss of a ex-trafficking ring. They were like, nah, that's not what this is. He was pretty much convicted on transportation or whatever to engage in prostitution, traveling around and paying for some action. And at this point now, right, he's been locked up around 8 or 9 months, something like that, as he was picked up in September, I believe, and his sentencing date is October 3rd, and he could face 20 on the maximum side of things. It's also unclear, which is wild, because when it comes to sentencing in a federal case, it's supposed to all go by the guidelines, right? A chart, more or less, of your previous criminal history and a bunch of different factors that put you in a time frame, and there's not supposed to be much wiggle room. But a lot of people are feeling, nah, he ain't gonna get that 20 maximum. He's gonna get time served, or he's gonna get 5, or he's gonna, come home with some paper like probation that he's gonna be on. And again, that day, the day that's going to go down in the books when we find out Diddy's fate, is going to be October 3rd. But in the meantime, his legal team is saying, listen, this is a case for the books. We've never seen something like this before, as the law is ever changing, and case law, cases get quoted into the law books when for motions and stuff like this. Just like what Diddy's legal team filed, they'll quote old cases or whatever, and this is going to be a case that they're saying will be quoted in the future, that is going down in the books. It's unprecedented that the world changes, and things are looked at differently by society as time goes on, that this is a swinger lifestyle. And I want to know what everyone thinks about that, the whole swinger lifestyle, the shit we heard in the Cameron interview from the Punisher, talking about how Diddy would come out with the Muslim veil on and then switched it up to the Yankee fitted to watch him bust down his chick. And it's just all crazy. It's a whole lot like Diddy on some whole other freak-ish, you know what I mean? And I want to know what you think of it. If you think it's consenting adults, it's okay, or you think, no, Diddy was coercing and drugging women, or whatever you think about it, you know what I mean? Because that's what we're talking about, what's going on legally, and then what people think personally and morally about it all. And the legal team is saying, as far as the law goes, this racketeering shit, we beat that. You know what I mean? He's basically convicted of paying to go traveling around and paying to have fun with consenting adults. And with that being said, we want to put down a $50 million bail so he can be free until that sentencing date, when he may indeed get time served. And from a legal standpoint, a legal aspect, I don't think they're tripping when they say that. They beat the hardcore charges and pretty much are convicted of what I think a lot of the world as far as what was proved and not proved in a court of law, will look at it like, yo, this is consenting adults and it don't hurt no one. Let him post that $50 million bail. He ain't gonna go nowhere. He'll show up for his sentencing date. The reason they were initially denying him bail all along, one of the main reasons they said, was witness tampering. And with the case being over, how can he tamper with a witness or anything like that? Let him be a free man with 50 million down that he could lose. It's a major incentive for him to come back to court and not flee the country. I don't think he has his passports or anything like that. So grant him this bail, you know. And I gotta say, from a legal standpoint, I think he should get the motion. You know what I mean? Like, this was a big win for Diddy's legal team. They beat those hard cases and, you know, convicted of the lesser ones, yes, but there's something else that's being discussed in this that really goes down in the legal books that I want to leave a link for y'all to go check it out. If at the time of seeing this video you don't see the link from me in the comments, come back and try and find it and watch it. It's about the Mann Act. They're also arguing about that, aside from the whole swinger lifestyle, you know what I mean, that the world has changed and it's not like it used to be, which some people would look at and say, man, this is twisted, this is fucked up, this is some devilish shit, you know what I mean? This is just all about X drugs and partying and, you know, getting it in with multiple partners, and, you know, it's of a demonic fashion and all that. You know, tradition is going out the window. Some people believe that in a philosophical way that's different, as long as, you know, they don't look at that as being evil and tradition being righteous or whatever, you know what I mean? I want to know what everyone thinks about it in the comments below. But there's this other thing called the Mann Act, right, which was initially used in the law books. It was created and drawn up to stop women from being forced into prostitution, going back many years, you know, when it was like a different world where, for one, like, obviously racism will always exist, but it just exist. It was condoned, and the, you know, people who were racist as fuck were in power and calling the shots 100%. This Mann Act was like, you know, when women weren't even really working like that, it was like a woman working was a wild thing. They put this out to say, oh, women are going to be out on the road on their own working, and they're going to end up being forced into prostitution. But the law really was used to stop interracial relationships. It was used in a racist way, and I did a whole video about it. Someone commented on a previous video I made when we were talking about the federal sentencing guidelines and what Diddy's fate will be, and the Mann Act was being discussed. Someone was like, yo, I think the boxer's name was Jack Johnson. He was a black boxer who had a white wife or girlfriend, I think wife, and he ended up fleeing the country, defending his title overseas. He ended up coming back. Like, it's a real deep story, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna leave a link to that video. I want everyone to go check it out. Like, this is really a case for the legal books. I really agree with the argument that Diddy's legal team is making. Again, there's the moral aspect of things, how people feel morally and personally, and then there's the legal definitions in court, in law and case law, you know what I mean? And they're like, yo, this is he beat the serious charges once again, and you know, we're arguing of like outdated policies with this racist Mann Act, the law that was used to stop black men from being able to be with white women. You know, it was drawn up to stop women from being forced into prostitution, being referenced as white slavery law, but really it was used in a way to punish black men from being with white women and throw them in prison. And that's what we want to argue, Your Honor, because aside from how much time he's going to get or anything like that, appeals, anytime you take a case to trial, you are allowed to file an appeal. And being that his legal team had a big W and beat the serious charges, and we're talking about all these old outdated laws and just all these legal arguments in this case going down in the books, that's heavy grounds for appeal. So at the end of the day, we'll see what the court's gonna do. But legally speaking, they should let Diddy out on that $50 million bail. You know what I mean? It's a very complex situation, and as always, I want to know what everyone thinks about it. So tap in, join the discussion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the button so we can get this out algorithmically. As always, over here, it's always about hearing from all the people out there. But also make sure you check out that video about the Mann Act. You know, again, we're talking about swinging lifestyle and old racist law. It's 2025, and you know, Diddy's legal team did their job very well, as this case is going to go down in the books. And not only may you indeed walk away with time served, when it's all said and done with the appeals, this might all be vacated and like it never happened. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. It's like Diddy won. You know what I mean? He's like, damn, y'all put my personal business all out there that I be on some old freaky-ish. You know what I'm saying? Things that he was trying to keep behind closed doors. But he's like, hey, I proved I'm not this monster y'all accuse me of being. Let me out on my $50 million bail until my court date, and then the continued legal battle with the appeals. It's a whole lot going on here. So hit the link, check that other video while sub up, hit the comments. Like real talk, I want to talk about this all with y'all out there. There's a lot to talk about. So thanks for tuning in. It's Coffee. I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm gone, guys. Peace.